I've heard a lot about Baseball Stars 2 on the NES recently. There are people who've told me that they really like this game. Now, as you probably remember, I kind of dismissed it back in my original Baseball Stars video, but was I wrong? Is this game better than I thought? Well, actually, the answer to that question is both yes and no. And hey, you can see I've got night mode turned on. Anyway, Baseball Stars 2 is not a bad game, but it's clearly inferior to the original Baseball Stars. So let me explain in some detail. Well, first of all, Baseball Stars 2 is a lot like the original. You can create teams. You can release players. You can hire new players. You can improve your players. And you know, those are the things that made the first Baseball Stars so popular, right? Well, they kind of are, but that's not the whole story. Well, one thing you'll notice right away is that you can't actually choose the name of your team. In Baseball Stars, you were limited to certain team logos, sure, but you could always rename your team. In this game, you can only choose from a few pre-made teams. You can't actually change anything. So that part doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, why would you make it so that the gamers would have fewer options to play the game? I mean, was it really that bad that gamers could have the option to choose their own team names? They had to take that part out? How much space did that really take up in the program? But it gets worse from there. Well, it turns out that you can't change the name of your players either. And that sucks because some of these names are just wrong. Any player you buy is going to have some generic name like Rookie 5. So maybe they were upset that people were changing names and putting the names of like big leaguers into the first Baseball Stars. I mean, I don't know. But you know, for whatever reason, Romstar decided to take out a lot of the basic functionality of the original game. And it's pretty infuriating. Now the game itself is just like the first Baseball Stars, except it feels a bit slower. It feels slower because the pitcher's motion feels a little bit delayed, especially out of the windup. Now, if you look at the original Baseball Stars, you'll notice that it also feels just a little bit slow, so this might just be my imagination. Little League World Series uses the same engine, but notice that the pitchers work faster out of the full windup. They also seem to be a bit faster in the Japanese game Koshien, the game that Little League World Series is based on. And of course, in Legends of the Diamond, which also uses the same engine, the pitchers move the fastest. Anyway, I might be making something out of nothing here, but Baseball Stars 2 just feels slower to me overall. In fact, I think this is one of the slowest Baseball NES games. It took me almost 30 minutes to complete a single game, which just doesn't feel right. And there are a lot of other things that I think are problems as well. So you've got this nice screen that lets you see all the runners that are on base, right? In the original Baseball Stars, all you got were these little dots on a diamond, which really isn't the same. Once again, Little League World Series seems to have done this best with these diagrams that show how much of a lead the runner has. It's actually pretty cool. Meanwhile, Legends of the Diamond basically did the same thing as Baseball Stars 2. However, look closely when there are guys on base in Baseball Stars 2. You can see that the blue from the artificial turf bleeds into their faces and arms. Again, that wasn't a huge issue, but it's another thing that's a problem in this version that's not there in the original game. And it really makes me wonder how much effort Romstar really put into making this game. My other complaint, another minor one, is that my batters want to bunt at random. I don't know what's causing this. In fact, there's nothing in the manual about bunting at all, which is really bizarre. Anyway, I know that's a real minor complaint. It's really not a big deal, and those really are the only complaints I have about this game. The fielding is the same as in Baseball Stars and the other games. This is actually one game where Legends of the Diamond is the best. Legends of the Diamond has a little arrow that points at the player you control. Baseball Stars doesn't. And Baseball Stars 2 doesn't either. Neither does Little League World Series. Now, this isn't like a huge addition. For the most part, you can figure out which player you are even without the arrow. But sometimes really frustrating things happen, like this time that my right fielder disappeared completely. But then again, this is a brand new team that I just created with players that are really bad. I mean, it's not like this is one of the best teams in the game or anything like that. You know, I can understand why my right fielder decided to suddenly play with dandelions instead of actually, playing baseball. Anyway, all in all, Baseball Stars 2 actually isn't such a bad game. It certainly is better than I thought the first time I played it. But it's missing a lot of the things that made Baseball Stars so great. I will never understand why they got rid of the women's teams, for example. Some of the little things that made the first Baseball Stars a joy to play are just missing here. Plus, the thing is that this game just does not feel all that polished. I mean, I feel like there's something that's really missing, and my guess is that it's got something to do with this being a US-only release. I think that if this had come out in Japan first, a lot of these things wouldn't have passed muster. Romstar, the company that created this game, was actually a distribution branch of SNK, and so it's really not out of the question to consider this game a cash grab by SNK. It's also interesting to note that Baseball Stars 2 was released in 1992, which is right around when the NES was becoming irrelevant. That's the same year Legends of the Diamond was released using the same engine. It's clear to me that Baseball Stars 2 overall is the better game. But it still does not have the magic of the first game. And the funny thing about this one is that I think this game's actually cheaper than the original Baseball Stars, even though I know that there are fewer copies out there. It's more rare. My guess is that there's less demand for this game because of a lot of its flaws. And anyway, there you have it. Baseball Stars 2 is not quite as bad as I said in the original video, but it's also not exactly a great game. If you have a choice, I really recommend just sticking with the original.